Welcome back to another episode of the Bourbon Lens with your hosts, Jake and Scott. And in today's episode, we're headed to Nashville and we're talking with Dierks Bentley, country music star and curator of Row 94 Whiskey. So make sure you go grab a bottle or check out Dierks' latest album. Dierks just got back off the road and we're excited to sit down and have this conversation with him. So sit back and buckle in as we talk to Dierks Bentley in the latest episode of the Bourbon Lens. So everybody, welcome to this week's episode of the Bourbon Lens. We are excited to welcome Dierks Bentley, fresh off his Gravel and Gold tour, to sit down with us and talk all things whiskey. Dierks, thanks for hopping on and appreciate the time today, man.
Oh, man, thank you guys so much. Yeah, just off the road. I've been gone since about May, and it's just great to be back in Nashville. Just great time of year to be here in the fall. Weather's turning a little bit. Definitely good bourbon season for sure right now at the cooler temps. So happy to be here with you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, were you in town to see the goalpost come down Broadway last week?
I was on the road, but I had friends text me about that, and I said, just wait. Man, they might beat Alabama. I'm like, just wait till the fourth quarter, because we all know what Vandy does. They take you deep, and they make you think. They make you think they might win, and they always lose, but not this time around. And so I got a lot of footage of them. I'm actually at my bar right now, Whiskey Row, which is on Lower Broadway. And the goalpost went right by here on the way to the river. So
it's
just
wild.
Amazing. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and as a former Kentucky alumni football player myself, it was sad that they came up and beat up on the Cats this weekend. So
they're down. They're going hard, and you guys beat someone big earlier.
Yeah, we beat Ole Miss earlier this year.
Yeah.
SEC's tough, man. SEC is tough.
It is tough. It is so tough. This is the Wild West this year.
For sure.
Alabama almost lost again, and I don't know. It's pretty crazy out there.
Yeah. It's definitely the year. So real quick, like, I'm not a touring musician, nor is Scott. What's it like to be on the road? Like, what kind of grind is that actually like? You've been in the business a long time, so you're probably used to it by now. But what's the grind like even now?
Yeah, I don't know if I ever get used to it, because it's. I mean, I would never complain about anything I do. It's not, my kids don't even consider it the only thing I work for a living. They just think I can play guitar and have a few drinks, but. It's a grind for sure. It's just, I think the hardest part is the sleeping. Some people sleep great on a tour bus. I never have. It's just, I don't know why anyone would. It's bouncing. It's like, it's moving every possible direction there is. I mean, the brakes, the gas, up, down, sideways, it's rolling around at night. You're out with your buddies too. So you're not really, you stay up way too late. And then, so you're always a little just kind of beat up a little bit out there, but it's just this weird circus of people. Our crew guys get zero sleep, so everyone's a little bit like you really feel like you're just operating on a different planet all the time. But come showtime, the lights go down. You got a drink in your hand. You're with your band. My band happens to be my favorite people in the world. We all travel together, whether it's on planes or buses or however. So we get the same stupid jokes we've been telling for 10, 20 years, in some cases, with some of these guys. It's the most fun feeling ever, walking on that stage and getting to do what we do. And then the show, you get your friends coming out, so you get to see them, different parts of the country where all your friends, along the way, you're seeing different people along the way. And it could not be more fun at the same time. Yeah. The show ends. It's 1 or 2 in the morning, and you're listening to the saddest country songs ever on the bus, and start getting lonesome, missing your family, and try to get some sleep and do it all over again. So it's really fun. What I love mostly too is, this ties into drinking in some ways, just the community, the friendships that you make out there on the road, and people that come out. We have a little bar called Whiskey Row, named after this bigger bar. And our friends come back to this vibe room, I guess you call it, indoors or outdoors. There's different drinks set up on stage, and you pour a red Solo cup and you start talking and catching up, and these beautiful summer nights all over the country. It's just so fun. That said, I am excited to be back in Nashville right now, kind of healing and recovering, and spending a lot of time with my family and just doing the regular dad stuff. But, it's a trip out there. It really is fun. And hopefully get to see you guys somewhere. I'd love to host you somewhere and give you the inside look at what we do.
Oh, sign me up. I was just saw Jelly Roll at Yum Center on Saturday, and it's when Kentucky and Tennessee are so close, and the country music culture and now the bourbon and whiskey culture are coming right alongside of that. I feel like
absolutely.
I think that's really cool. So that actually ties into great segue. You should host the podcast. How do you see that country music, whiskey, bourbon culture starting to come together? Because there's a lot of brands that are starting to pop up and really highlighting America's spirit in a variety of different ways.
Absolutely. Country music couldn't be hotter right now. And guys like Jelly Roll Zach Bryan. Just I think people love the authenticity of their story and who they are and how they got to where they are. Just the lack of polish and shine and just the grittiness of it. And in some ways the American story behind a lot of these success stories. And I think that ties a lot better into the bourbon and whiskey scene in Kentucky than it does the Sonoma, whatever, the Napa Valley stuff in California. Although I've been out there and drank that wine and met those farmers. I mean, those guys are as country as could be too, right? But
yeah,
think about the bourbon story, this being an American invention. I think it was when the bourbon ruling in 1964, whatever. This is an American story. Bourbon is. It's you meet the people, you meet the generations of distillers and the history of all the distillers along the way, then the fires and the characters and the people and the dirt. It just feels very much like a country music kind of like. It shares a lot of the characters and the people that make country music great. It just there's and the lore. It just has a lot in common with country music, and so a lot of parallels for sure. I mean, I think for me, I started drinking at a pretty young age. I started listening to Hank Jr. when I was 17, and Hank loved Jim Beam, and so you kind of follow your heroes down some paths you probably shouldn't follow them down. But I was always obsessed with that brand because of him, and it just I think there's always been that connection between country music and whiskey for a long time, and right now I definitely feel like it's there. I think during COVID, like a lot of people, they just really started searching and digging in for whether it's old bottles of whiskey and there's just like in country music, there's the same thing. We call it deep catalog. You can always go one step further. You love Waylon Jennings. Well, who inspired him? And keep going down and down and down. I think that exists a lot in the whiskey world as well, and that's why you see people building these collections during COVID and digging deeper and wanting to know more about the history of it. And hey, I fall right in there. I've been wanting to have my own brand since I opened this bar, Whiskey Row, back in 2012 in Arizona. But certainly during bourbon, with a little more time in my hands. Certainly during COVID, with a little more time in my hands, I started doing what a lot of other guys are doing too, which is kind of building up a little bit of a bar and listening to podcasts, reading books, and talking to people about it.
Oh man. That's really cool. So Jim Beam is kind of the first aha whiskey you had. What was the one that kind of made you fall in love with it? Because no offense to white label, it is what it is. It's got a place on a bar. But what was that bourbon or that sip that you're kind of like, man, this is really damn cool and really good, and I can enjoy this pour, versus being like, it burns in the chest a little bit.
Absolutely. That Jim Beam was that for me. It was like that label too, the white label, Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. When I set up to make my own, I knew it had to be. That's just those are, for me. There's blends and primo stuff out there, but I just love that 4-letter expression. But for me, during COVID, this is kind of cheating, but someone sent me a really nice bottle of Pappy's, and I was like, whoa, there's a big difference between that and the stuff I've been drinking before. Four Roses, the small batch of that was really great. Elijah Craig's small batch is really good too. Yeah. I did a thing with Fred Minnick. We did some tastings, and he gave me a bottle out of Penelope's. You ever heard of that?
Yeah, we're good friends really with
Is that Colorado? Is that
no? It's New Jersey by way of Indiana, by way of Kentucky. It's kind of a weird story.
Well, we started experimenting with some stuff, but for me, it all goes back to the white label. But I wish I had my little sit in front of my little collection right now, go through some of my favorite stuff. But yeah, there's just taking your time and like really. That was the first time during COVID that I really started just like not thinking about just how quick can I get this into my liver, but like smelling it and looking at it and talking about it and thinking about it. I just really never done that before. And so when I set up to do my own thing, it was fun meeting with people that know a lot more about it than I do. I always say, like, people start doing tasting notes and stuff. I'm like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. I just don't have that palate. I know good from bad when it comes to music and bourbon. I don't really know like how to like dig that deep into it, but I love surrounding myself with people that do. Yeah. There's something more fun than drinking bourbon with somebody that could really taste all those notes and talk about it. I quit a lot to like Kix Brooks from the band Brooks and Dunn. He has a winery here in town, and wine always tastes better when you're hanging out with Kix, because he can just tell stories and stories about the dirt and the grapes and the lineage of the vines, and it's just so fun. So the same with bourbon too. Just being on the guys. It's really why I fell in love with Green River up in Kentucky and in Owensboro. Just those guys know it so well. And when they talk about it, it makes your mouth just waters just hearing them explain it to you. It was just something I can't do.
Yeah.
I think that's the story of like every bourbon drinker. It's like you're introduced to something just by happenstance, you know, a shot at a bar or whatever. And then it's just like you want to dive deeper and deeper and deeper and go into that history, like you were saying.
Yeah, and there's it's just like, oh, so you can stop making country music right now, and there's so much out there to listen to. You'd never listen to the same song twice, and that it feels like it's the same way in the bourbon world, you know. And I'm pretty much just like, you know, I do like some of the fancier stuff, the older stuff, but to me, like someone like the 4 to 7-year-old stuff, and I'm just like, I'm kind of utilitarian in some ways. I don't have a ton of guitars. I just have the ones that I need, and they're all Martin guitars. You know, I would say, you know, Pennsylvania makes the best guitars because that's where Martin is, and Nashville makes the best country music, and Kentucky makes the best bourbon. But I like something from Kentucky because the way I guess grew up drinking it, and something that's not overly expensive because I learned enough over the last few years that you don't have to have. Then costs a lot to make great whiskey, and something that's good enough to go in a rocks glass, but also something that's good enough to drink out of a red solo cup like we do on the road. So when I set out to make this, you know, I kind of an idea of what I wanted to make. But to your point, I mean, there's so much out there that I haven't explored yet. All the different, you know, cast barrel finishes and new technology out there, obviously, and different parts of the country that are making bourbon besides just, you know, Kentucky and Indiana. But there's a lot to explore for sure.
No, definitely. And you talk about crafting, right? And the stories behind it, you know, so how do you parallel, like, because the way we looked at it and the way we saw it, you were very hands-on in making this bourbon happen, right? How do you think about like the makeup of crafting the bourbon to either creating a song or creating an album that people will enjoy? Because it is a catalog, right? Like that bottle can be shared over days or nights or weekends, whatever, with the boys, with the ladies, with the family, doesn't matter. And it's about telling a story, and that's what your albums and songs do as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's and there's a lot of BS involved too. You know, you start making your own thing, you read all the labels that people put in the back of their bottles, and it's like, oh my God, it sounds like some ChatGPT wrote about the limestone and the perfectly filtered water and all this stuff. And it's but what I do appreciate that there's a lot of parallels to that to country music. You know, when I release a record, someone releases a record, it's always, oh, this is their most vulnerable work. And, you know, just, oh my gosh, this album, their 20th album is when they finally, you know, are peeling back all the labels. So there's a lot of BS that goes in all of it. And I always say, when making music and now making bourbon, you just have to make something that appeals to you, right? You got to make something that speaks to you. Don't try to chase something that's popular, you know, try to write a song that you think is going to connect with certain fans. It's all about the journey of making it. And when it comes to music, it involves writing the songs and recording the way you want to record them, and making the packaging the way you want to make the leaflet and the font of your name. Everything should be exactly how you want to make it. What's special to you, so you can look back on it in 10 years and be reflective of that time period that you were making the record. And if it works out great, it's a huge success. Awesome. If it doesn't, that's okay too, because it was all about, you put your heart and soul into it, and it's something special to you. And to tie that back into the Row 94, I want to make something that was authentic to who I am and to what I kind of grew up drinking. And so it had to be from Kentucky, it had to be straight, it had to be, something that was in the price range that I wouldn't be offensive to my fans, trying to gouge them on something that's just not, especially these days, something had to be under $40, which was a big sticking point between myself and the guy that I went in on this with, a guy named Miles Scully. He wanted something under $40, and I wanted something that was at least 4 years old in a Kentucky Straight. And so we fought for a couple of years about back and forth. I tried some rapid aging stuff, and I tried some different techniques, and we just never were happy because we both didn't get what we wanted. Luckily, this kind of chance encounter with Bardstown, with Green River, and meeting those folks and becoming good friends with them, and ultimately getting to partner with them was what's allowed us to have our cake and eat it too. But I'll be back to your point. But yeah, just making something that I would drink behind closed doors, as well as that I would want to share with friends and fans out there. So that's how we kind of settled on what we did. And that, just like music, just like same thing. In 10 years, this doesn't work out. Only 5% of these celebrity brands work out. I'll be proud of what we did. I love the juice. I love the bottle. Love the label. I love the team I've assembled. Going to work with got a couple girls in here that help me do all my music stuff. You know, it's the same group really working on the whiskey stuff. It's the same idea as launching an album. You know, it's all hands on deck. I think what we do better in Nashville, maybe other celebrities out there do, is we work hard. You know, we roll our sleeves up and we like talking to people and meeting people and getting out there and sharing our whatever it is, our music or now my whiskey with friends and talking about it. So I feel like we have a good chance to be successful, but regardless, the journey has already been so much fun. And even talking to you guys, this is something new and different for me. And I think you're always chasing that kind of new feeling in life. And I try to replicate that. You know, I try to reinvent myself through my records every cycle, but this is brand new. So I'm learning a lot and having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Jumped in with 2 feet, right?
Oh man, we're all the way in, and that's the only way you can do. Especially when you have a lot of your own money wrapped up into it. You got to jump all the way in.
For sure.
It's not just put my name on top of the bottle and go try to, you know, this is my, not just only my money, but like, yeah, my, you know, in some ways my reputation. And, you know, it's, I don't want to screw up what I've built up my music as being known for, I think, putting out authentic country music. I don't want to mess it up with putting out a crappy bourbon or something, or not going all in on what we're doing here.
Yeah. So that's funny. Because a lot of people I feel like can just slap their name on it or whatever. And I like the fact that you're intimately into it, and experiencing that. Has there been one thing that surprised you about creating the whiskey overall and like, creating the blend on what you all actually landed on, that really kind of stood out to you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just can tell you how we did it. And I mean, I am surprised that, you know, that there's some stuff out there that, you know, just like the blended stuff and putting new whiskey and mixing with old to try to kind of hide some stuff. And I don't know, the way we had our way of doing it. I think we're just really, you know, for me, there's a guy named Porter Wagner who I base a lot of my life off of. He's a great country singer, member of the Grand Ole Opry. And he always said, you know, if you want to be a great lead singer, surround yourself with musicians that are better than you. And I'm taking that to heart. You come watch my band. Got a couple guys in Kentucky in my band. One's a guitar player from Brownsville. One's from Ashland out there in Eastern Kentucky playing banjo and steel guitar. And all my guys are so great. And they make me look great. And I kind of apply the same thing to making bourbon, just surrounding myself with people that know what they're doing and listening. And that's kind of the way I run everything I do. So getting to work out of Green River, you know, it's got the story. It's got you go to Green River. It reminds me of like a beat up guitar. You know, it's like it has the scratches, it has the dents, it has the story to tell. And the people that work there know their whiskey really well. So when I went to craft ours, I kind of started with what they have. You know, the Green River, I call it the horseshoe bottle of the 90 proof, is really good. Mm-hmm. And it's won a lot of awards. And it's like, well, let's start there, because I don't think like you guys want me coming in your world and creating a blend of stuff that I like. I just told you I don't have the palate for it. You know, Fred Minnick can sit there and tell you how something tastes like an old leather chair. You know, that was built in the 1800s. He has like some crazy palate. I don't have that kind of palate, so I wanted to start with a building block, something I knew. But I wanted something a little bit stronger. You know, I can taste heat and I can taste finish and I can taste smoothness. So I love this Nashville has a little bit more of a heavier on the corn. I think it's 70% corn, but also a higher rye at 21%. So you get a little more of that heat. It's also 94 proof. So it has a little bit more bite to it. I feel like people are going for, you know, I started off drinking something that was 80 proof, and that was kind of still works well now, I guess. But I feel like people are kind of like a little bit more of a higher proof bourbon. I know I certainly do. And so that's what I was able to kind of contribute to it. But I feel like we're tasting, starting with Green River's kind of signature bottle. That label was a good starting place for us. And I tried different things. I tried blends, which against my will, because I really didn't want to do that. I tried some rapid aging stuff, and that worked well price wise, but didn't. It's just not me, and that's not. You know, I like stuff that's old and beat up and has a story to tell. And I think I was able to kind of create that with Row 94.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the most admirable thing is like you did something that was very traditional, put your own spin on it, and you could have priced this at $80, $100, and it's like you chose not to do that, which is when I was reading the press release, I was like $40. I was like, this is totally opposite of what other celebrity whiskeys have decided to do, right? And
yeah, my wife is like, when this came out, she's like, "Oh my God, Beyonce just came out with a whiskey." I was like, "We're not competing with Beyonce." That's a totally different crowd. I was like, that's the thing about living in Nashville too. Is like I remember, you're first starting off. People they start before you have a record deal. There's people out there competing. Well, she's got blonde hair, so I should have brown hair, or he's got this, I should do that. So you really have to stay in your own lane, just do your own thing, and the blinders on, not pay attention to anything else going on there around you. Don't. The second you try to start competing with somebody else, you're not. It's like that movie Jurassic Park where he's looking at the Velociraptor, the raptor this way, and the one from here is one that takes him out, right? You need to just like do your own thing. So, and the price point there, I just find that insulting because I just know too much about bourbon now to know that you can get a great bottle of whiskey for like, $30. You can go get Bullet for like $25. Like, so I know too much to not pass that information along to my fans. Now there is a place for other to explore and go forward and try things and have a special bottle for different events. But for me, I play one guitar, and I have a 1989 Martin D28, and it works well for everything. I do have a couple other things around for different situations, but if you come watch me play a show, you're going to see that guitar. Because I'm utilitarian that way. I want, even the clothes I wear, like this shirt, I can wear this to talk to you guys. I can wear this to go watch my kids' hockey game. I can walk out and play a show in it tonight. It's like everything I do kind of has multifunctional stuff because I just got a lot going on. I got kids and wife and touring, and I don't have time to like be overly thinking about my clothing or my music or my whiskey. I want something that works well for any night of the week, but also is good enough to pour for a really special occasion. So I just think, I don't know, there's that expensive stuff out there. Yay for those guys that are promoting that. I don't know who their audience is, but certainly not my fan base. I'm more of a someone asked me, if I go somewhere, do I get recognized? And I'm like, no, I really don't get recognized too many places unless I'm in a Home Depot or a Bass Pro Shops. Then I'm a big star. Those are my people, but I'm not really. I just don't know that other crowd that spends $200 on a bottle of whiskey. That's just not my people.
Yeah. No, that's great, and I love the fact that you're connecting with your fans, and it's really about you're taking your approach from music to the whiskey, and I think that's what people will relate to as they go have a drink in their red Solo cup before they go in and have a great time at a Dierks Bentley concert. So for you, just real quick as we close down, what's next? What's the next kind of couple months look like for you all? Are you gonna go on a tour again? What's that look like the next couple months?
Yeah. Man, it's right now I just did 2 years of touring, and I'm going to head back to the studio next week and have a new song come out in January, and the album will launch probably in June, and along with the tour.
Awesome.
And I mean, it's kind of the same, but it never really gets old. I mean, certainly with this, we have the whiskey out there as well. I can combine a lot of meeting people on the road and visiting distilleries. Visiting distributors and stores and bringing people out to the show to come together over the whiskey. I also have a product out called Withco. Stands for With Company, but it's a non-alcoholic drink mix. So I have a lot of friends that are sober.
Awesome.
A lot of friends that should be sober, and so when they come to our shows, I had this drink mix now that works great with like a fake whiskey, which those things actually exist, and they can make a fake cocktail, or it mixes great with the bourbon. There's our drink mix called the Ellis Old Fashioned. It's just an incredible drink mix made here in Tennessee and all natural stuff. So yeah, just have that celebration on the summer. These outdoor shows, so fun. Your friends are there before the show. You're hanging out with your fans, playing these shows, hang out afterwards. We'll do that all next summer, and I'll keep doing it for as long as people will let me, because it really is. After all these years, when I walk on stage, it still feels so exciting. There's like, I can be so tired, and the second my boots hit the stage, there's like electricity coming up from the floor, and I just feel so excited to be out there. So, little break now to kind of figure out a new show and a new set and a new album, but we'll be back out there next summer on to be determined name of the tour, and some great opening bands helping us get it started off every night.
So you're heading back into the studio. Has Row 94 whiskey been rolling around in your head with some potential song lyrics?
I have a song called Bourbon in Kentucky, but there's not a lot of songs with the word bourbon in them. As the whiskey finds its way into a lot more album titles. I think that it's just an easier rhyme in some ways.
Yeah.
Oh, I think all the way back to Luke Bryan's song about you can rhyme so many different words with whiskey. He had frisky,
Yeah.
and whiskey makes her frisky. But yeah, certainly in the studio. I got a song called Well Whiskey. I got a lot of whiskey songs this time around. So it's been on the brain for the last few years.
Yeah.
But yeah, for certainly, it helps, man. I mean, it's medicinal, right? It's like gets your voice warmed up. Sometimes you don't drink because you want to. It's because you have to. It helps your job in some ways. I'm in a weird profession where it's kind of helps me do my job a little bit better. So yeah, it's definitely got some Row 94 in the studio, mixing around there for sure. So
awesome.
This album has a little bit of that feel to it.
Well, Dierks, we really appreciate you hopping on this week's episode. For everyone, can you let everyone know where they can start finding out more about Row 94?
Yeah, man. Thank you guys here at Bourbon Lens. I appreciate it. We're just launched in 5 states. I have this bar here called Whiskey Row. We're on Lower Broadway right now in Nashville, Tennessee. I've one here, one in Phoenix, one in Colorado, Denver. And so we're going to launch in those 3 states, as well as Kentucky, of course, and Florida. Yeah, just so starting the 5 states. Of course, you can order it online as well. But yeah, it's off to a good start. We're just out and hanging out with our friends in Walmart the other day. So get in over there and kind of just get this thing growing up. That's the end all be all. But I'm a big Walmart guy, so it feels good having stuff in Walmart. And just certainly my own bars, use these as tasting rooms, and got a good team. Really have a team assembled. So I'm really excited about, like I said, not just the end result, but just this meeting people. And I'm fixing to here in a couple of weeks drive around with all the folks from Lippman distributors here in town, start going to on premises and talking to folks. And yeah, I don't know, it's exciting. It's fun to have something new to do after all these years of doing this one other thing.
That's awesome. Well, we really appreciate it, and everyone go check out Row 94 and
thank you.
Be on the lookout for a Dierks Bentley show coming near you in 2025.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you, Dierks. Thanks you.
Hey, thanks a lot. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate your time and help me talk about it. So thank you.
Thanks for your time. We appreciate it. We know you're busy. Have a great one, man.
All good. Thanks.
Cheers. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Bourbon Lens. Make sure you're connected with Scott and I via social media on Instagram, X, and Facebook. We'd love to connect. And if you're more the professional type, follow us over on LinkedIn. If you want to know more about Bourbon Lens, make sure you're subscribed to our weekly newsletter, The Weekly Pour. For exclusive content and more, check out Patreon. Follow us there at Bourbon Lens. And last but not least, on your favorite podcast listening app, make sure you're subscribed, because every Monday, Scott and I release a podcast, and we would love to have you here listening to the newest features and the newest whiskey news. And until next time, cheers.